All right, my friends. I just pressed the Let's Go Live button on this lovely, lovely Friday. Uh-oh. You know who's here right on time. It is Leaf Blower Guy. I don't know if you can hear him or not. I try to keep the... I think you can hear that. He's there. The low hum of clean streets sweeping through the neighborhood right now. Shout out to Leaf Blower Guy. He usually joins us on Fridays on our members only morning streams on Fridays, but we're a little bit early today. And he's there. He's getting it right now. Yes, man, it's going to be so clean there and so leaf free. Whew, it's going to be beautiful. All right, are the tubes working? We are early today because I've got an event this afternoon, which I'm excited to go to. But we got to get some business attended to. It looks like we are connected. That's tremendous news. Let's go ahead and get started, shall we? Hello, my friends, and welcome back to yet another episode of Watching the Watchers Live, the show that spotlights misconduct involving police, prosecutors, and politicians. My name is Robert Gouveia. I am a criminal defense attorney, and today we're talking about the Middle East. We've got a lot to unpack here, and there is a lot going on, and so we're going to comb through it. We're going to start off talking about somebody who happens to be an expert on the Middle East, and especially chaos in the Middle East, because we grew up and had about 20-something years of it as a result of this fella and, you know, other world interesting activities. But George Bush is back in the frame now, and he's warning that it's going to be chaos in the Middle East. And I think that's a fair assessment, quite frankly. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. It is going to be chaotic. We've already seen it be chaotic, and it's not going to stop, I think, anytime soon. So we'll talk about what he said about it, and then we'll take a look at this media angle, because I saw this ridiculous story from NBC that we'll go through, but they're saying that conservatives are stoking fear. As you know, today is Friday the 13th. There have been rumors and murmurings of all sorts of attacks and all sorts of, problematic things happening today. I know that there's been sort of this sense of dread out there. I don't know if you've experienced it, but a lot of people are experiencing it. And I've heard other people in my life who are generally not even plugged into politics. They're like going, oh man, another serious conflict here. This one's like a whole different category. And just, kind of hitting the panic button a little bit. So what's strange is that, they're trying to smear the right. They're trying to smear conservatives, and they're trying to smear Trump on this thing. And it's like, wait a minute, what? What are you talking about? We're stoking fear? I don't think so. I think, in fact, that we're talking about what's reality, what's actually happening around here. And so to smear one side, in this case, the conservatives, is ridiculous. So we'll look at what NBC said and break that down. But there's actual reality to this, okay? There was this debate about whether to call it a day of jihad or a day of action, right? People are being very clever with language these days to try to use it to, twist the meaning for their own purposes. But this is a report from Reuters, says that former Hamas is calling for a day of jihad, and that's today here, the 13th. And so we'll talk about that. And it's not just the right that's making this up, okay? LAPD is stepping up security. Found an article on that one. So is New York City. They're telling us that there's no specific credible threats. That's good. I hope nothing happens. I don't want anything to happen, of course. But don't say that the right is manufacturing this stuff, all right? LAPD stepping up security. NYC stepping up security. Portland is taking this seriously. We're seeing very interesting activities all around the country. We're seeing, a lot of flag waving. Everybody's got their flags all over the place. Flagging all over the place. Oh my gosh. All right. So they're getting concerned that something might pop off, that something might go a little bit awry. So we'll go through all that. Then we've got an update from the Middle East. Israel's ordering an evacuation. I think this one came over from Axios. And so they did a nice summary of kind of the current status right now, because there's a big request/demand to move a whole throng of people from the north to the south. And so we'll read what that sounds like. And then we'll check in with Congress and see what Congress has to say, because this guy is one representative who is saying, it's going to be very hard for us to actually move that amount of people or to really help. And so this guy's name, It doesn't matter, some Republican. So we'll listen to him and see what he has to say about it. But that will all be the update on what's happening here in the Middle East. Then, well, we'll be spending a lot of time on that today because that's really the only thing to talk about. There is very little updates in terms of the way of legal proceedings and stuff. I mean, it's all basically this and the Republicans being rudderless in the House of Representatives. But we'll also talk about this, that this was interesting. Now, I was clicking around on this, and I want to take you through the journey of my little click journey. But this is what our State Department had to say. And so they came out and they said, hey, guess what? Starting on October 13th, which is today, that we're going to secure charter flights to help U.S. citizens get out of here. And you're saying, that's great. So if you're departing Israel, and if you're unable to book commercial transit and seek a safe means of departing Israel, we're going to help charter some flights for you guys, which is good news, right? Because we always want to care for our citizens, right? No matter what you think about the conflict, it's like, hey, we got to take care of our citizens. They're Americans after all. And so we're asking ourselves, what is our government doing? Because our government is very accommodating for non-citizens. You know, we covered stories here where they have a literal immigration app where immigrants from certain other parts of the world, like Venezuela and stuff, like if it's too much of a trouble for them to, you know, walk all the way up through the southern border, and they already have somebody who's in the United States, they can just petition to get a flight, right? They just hop on a flight and just fly right in. Whoop, there you go. And the government facilitates the whole thing. And so we're thinking, that's interesting. You know, we spend a lot of time and money and resources on flying in non-citizens and helping out non-citizens. So it should be pretty simple for us to have chartered flights for Americans. Should be like a no-brainer, right? Just pick them up, bring them home. But no, actually, they're going to charge you for that. All right. So, so we actually click through, and I got the form here. So we're going to go through the form together, right? We're going to pretend that we're, you know, a U.S. citizen stuck in Israel, and we'll click that one. Or if you want to play along at home, you can, you know, be stuck in Gaza, or, you know, we can check both of them. But here, the point is, what are you? Where are you stuck? Click the form. You know, I don't see what I'm looking for. And so we'll, you know, that could be a whole number of other things. But we'll go through it, and they want you to sign a promissory note. So they want you to sign a loan, basically, right? I'm going to pay back my flight out of a war zone. So let's go through it. And this guy, Yitz Friedman, he's saying, you know, this is ridiculous. And now the question is, why can't we fund this? Where's the money going? Could we maybe take some of that money back that we gave to Iran? Well, Blinken's going to talk about that. And then Rand Paul is saying, maybe we can just take some of that Taliban money. You know, we can just take the Taliban money since we're still giving them money that is probably going to end up in this conflict zone and being used against Israel. It's just like, oh man, so much incompetence. It's incredible. Then we've got some reaction from Joe Biden. He's going to be having some virtual meetings apparently with the families. And I don't know what that means exactly. I haven't listened to this clip yet, so we'll go through that one. And then Biden tells a story about Dachau in Germany, which was kind of an interesting thing. And I have actually been to Dachau, and so I was going to share a little bit about that with you. So we'll talk about that. And then lastly, in our final segment on this beautiful Friday, we're going to talk about Trump because, man, he gave a speech, and he was pretty fired up in this speech, and he's talking about the relationship that he had during his time in office with Israel, and in particular, Bibi Netanyahu. And he came out and he said some certain words and some certain phrases, and he called Hezbollah, he said that they were smart. Now, you can be the judge and you can interpret whatever that means. And you can say maybe he means like they're brilliant geniuses that he wants to embody as a terrorist organization. You might think that. Or it could be like he's thinking that they're tactical. All right, they're crafty, that they're sly, right? Don't treat them like just dumb idiots because maybe they took advantage of that conception. And that's why we're here. So he's making some points about this. And then, of course, a lot of people are taking words out of context. And everybody just says, I can't believe what you said. You hate this person or this race or this group or this religion or whatever. And it's just nonstop. So they went over, they talked to this guy in the Senate. He's senator something. And he is saying that it's not very constructive behavior. But then we're going to divert over to CNN. And they brought this guy on. And this guy was over on, he's I think, on the ground there. Doctors Without Borders, I think, is what he's from. And so he's on the ground there in Israel, and he was talking about some of the intelligence, maybe failures, and it was an interesting clip, so we'll listen to that one. McCarthy is refusing to hit Trump. I mean, we don't know what that means, if he's still in the running to be the speaker again or not, but we'll go through that. And then Trump is reacting to his statement. Okay, so he said the thing, and then everybody kind of had a meltdown over it, and we're going to hear that. A lot of people. Can you believe what Trump said? Two people on Fox in particular. What's his name? Brett Baer, and the other guy's name is something. So we'll go through all of them. Having a difficult time with names today. Come on, reset. All right, so we'll see if the names pop out there anytime soon. But it is a beautiful Friday, my friends, and I'm grateful that you're joining us. We are here early today. I do have an event that I'll be attending later this afternoon, and then I'm super busy. It shouldn't really impact what we do here too much, but I'm super busy. I've got Eric's house is tomorrow, and so let me just plug that right now. Eric's house tomorrow, we're going to be doing a 4-hour seminar workshop on the Eric's House YouTube channel. So go onto Eric's House, go to YouTube, type ericshouse.org into YouTube. Find the YouTube channel, and we're going to be live streaming a hope and healing seminar, 4 hours of just hope and healing, and yours truly will be emceeing it. So we're going to be going through a bunch of stuff, and I don't even know what they have in store, but they always do an amazing job, and so it's going to be a lot of fun. And if you want to support Eric's House, which is an organization that's dedicated to helping people who've lost a loved one due to suicide, overdose, or tragic death, then that would just be amazing, because there's a lot of good people who are doing good work over there, and they could use your support. So if you want to support them, you can check out watchersupport.com and go over there. And when you click there, you can see you can make a donation, and it's going to be, wow, we're doing great. We've got 25 supporters. Amazing. And so we're going to go through this today at the end of the show and say thank you to everybody for the very, very nice donos. And so thank you for everybody who's sending those in. They do amazing work, and we'll check back in with what's happening over there. Now, let's get into it. Also, we have an amazing community. We do members-only streams, watchingthewatchers.locals.com. I'm going to an event today, so my goal is to post some updates from the event. So if you're a member, check that out. And we also have our new website, robertgovea.com. And we have now got the build in place for adding PDFs. They're not there yet, but they should be up hopefully tomorrow for yesterday's show. So check back on the website for all the PDFs that we cover should be posted to the website, like starting today or tomorrow. So coming in soon. And that's what's happening all across the rest of our community. And so with all that being said, my friends, let's get right into it, because we've got some business here to attend to. Middle East chaos. That's what George Bush declares we are in store for. And who better than to get our Middle East advice about Middle East chaos than the man who is responsible for a lot of Middle East chaos himself, including what we just got out of Afghanistan and Iraq and all the things, WMDs and so on and so forth. And so we turn to the experts when we want to gauge what's going on over there. And certainly it will be chaotic. We've got a very, very complicated situation there. And the question is, what is going to be done? Now, a lot of people on the left are using this against the right. They're saying that conservatives are stoking fear, which is curious, because I'm not sure that that is stoking fear when conservatives or other people concerned about this situation are responding to literal calls for jihad that came out from Hamas. So we'll read that story. And it's not me making that up. That's Reuters. And we also know that the police are also concerned about this. This is why LAPD, New York City Police, and Portland are all taking this seriously. And then we'll have an update on an evacuation order coming from Israel in response and reaction from Congress. But first, here is George Bush, who is responsible for a lot of complexity in the Middle East. And of course, we were attacked on 9/11, and many people might have different opinions about how we responded to that, and whether a long-term war in the Middle East was a good plan for this country, or maybe not, or maybe whether the Patriot Act was good or not, or whatever your interpretation of the event was. This guy was right at the center of it. And here is what he said about Israel.
It's going to be chaotic, and it's going to be, look,
that's for sure.
It's a democracy, and in a democracy, the people's voices matter, and there's going to be a weariness. You watch, the world's going to be, okay, let's negotiate.
Unless we get censored.
You know, Israel's got to negotiate. They're not going to negotiate. These people have played their cards. They want to kill as many Israelis as they can, and negotiating with killers is not an option for the elected government of Israel. And so we're just going to have to remain steadfast, but it's not going to take long. It's gone on too long. Surely there's a way to settle this through negotiations. Both sides are guilty. My view is one side is guilty, and it's not Israel.
Okay, so there's going to be chaos. I think he's absolutely right about that. We're already watching a lot of it happen right now. But what people are saying is that the right is milking this or exacerbating it or something. I don't know exactly what the basis is for that. Let's see if NBC can tell us. Conservatives are stoking fears of a Hamas attack in the United States, even though there's no credible threat, says the FBI. Oh, great. FBI says there's no threat. Weren't they the same people who said that there was nothing really to prepare for on January 6th? And that's, they were responsible for all of this, even though they knew that they had dozens of informants embedded with the Proud Boys, Oath Keepers, many other groups. So the totally non-credible FBI says there's no credible threat. Great. So here's what they say. They say the FBI said this week it had no information indicating a credible terrorist threat against the United States. Okay. But social media pundits have been raising the alarm. Conservative social media influencers have been filling platforms like X and Truth Social. And if we start getting into this territory where they start saying that we need to be censored or that our opinions need to be limited because of disinformation or because speculation, all right, I'm going to blow a gasket. So if they say it's not backed by any evidence that attacks on civilians would soon be happening in major U.S. cities, it's the Republicans' fault, it's the conservatives' fault. The speculation with no evidence to support it, other than Hamas calling for it, the former leader of Hamas. Let's see if they get there, because we have that article from their other news site called Reuters. It's come from former President Trump and his son, Trump Jr., and a host of right-wing commentators, with big followings. All right, so they're not talking about us here, who issued vague warnings about imminent invasions or attacks. Many of these posts tie in a hodgepodge of Republican Party talking points on subjects such as gun rights, immigration from Asia, crime and Iran policy. What kind of article is this? We're not allowed to post about world affairs? We can't talk about talking points like gun rights? What a ridiculous article. This is like state media writing an article. The posts show how quickly the latest bloody conflict in Israel between Israel and Hamas has upended online political debate thousands of miles away. You know what I think they're trying to do? If we zoom out on this, just hit me. It becomes much more transparent. But the left has a very big problem right now. It's big. They don't know what to deal with this issue, okay? They've got Rashida Tlaib with a Palestine flag and a LGBTQ flag right next to each other, like outside of her office. It's like total cognitive dissonance about how the reality of the situation works. And so they have, Harvard people, which really infests most of the government. I mean, they all went to Harvard, like Blinken went to Harvard, they're all Harvard, Oxford people. Well, Blinken, right, is also Jewish. And so if the Harvard people are coming out and they're saying, support Palestine, and then Blinken's, his contingent, like, wait a minute, what? That's not my alma mater. We have a major division there. And I think what they're trying to do is recreate some sort of division on the right where really it doesn't exist. I think that, I think largely what I've seen from the right, and you may agree or disagree, is kind of, questioning America First principles vis-a-vis this entire conflict, which is really consistent with, I think, the rest of the things that we've been talking about, similarly with Ukraine and all the other things. Asking ourselves, right, what is America's interest in this conflict such that it brings about an outcome that is satisfactory to the world and our allies and brings justice and all of those things. It's the same conversation. But on the left, right, it's very like do or die situation, right? There is really no room for negotiation, which is why their side, I feel like at some point, is going to eat itself, right? There's all the L's, the G's, the T's, the B's, the Q's, the I's, the A's, the pluses, and the spirit peoples, right? All of them are in this victim hierarchy type of thing. And when you start to have a real conflict and you just identify people based on identity only and not deeper values, they start having conflicts with each other, like is evident right outside Rashida Tlaib's office. Very complicated. So they say Trump, from his account, raised the idea of a potential threat because our southern border is wide open. That's another bit of evidence for this. And the same people, he said, that raided Israel are pouring into our once beautiful USA. True. Through our totally open southern border at record numbers. Are they planning an attack within our country? Well, I don't know, but I follow some ex-GWAT people, the Global War on Terror people, and a lot of them are saying there are strange things happening around this country. And you may have seen these stories too about people who are from foreign countries buying up huge chunks of land, creating different types of what look like training camps and training bases and all sorts of stuff. The Daily Wire had a post about an entire encampment in Texas that was being established for illegal immigrants coming across. Right, the list goes on. And they just don't know. So the post had 30,000 likes as of Wednesday, probably a bunch of other terrorists on the Truth social network. So post-presidency, Trump's office did not comment. U.S. reported last month that U.S. border agents have taken into custody a growing number of people, can you believe this, on FBI's terrorist watch list trying to enter the southern border. NBC is telling you, we reported on terrorists coming across the southern border last month, but no evidence that those are Hamas fighters. Got it. The theory that this is going to be happening, that they're going to sneak across the southern border, has been happening for a long time, and we just haven't seen anything about it. But some warnings this week, and Trump Jr. turned to gun rights, and his posts got 7.8 million views. So these are your censorship state media people who are very angry about all these people. Gunther Eagleman saying the sleeper cells in America won't be sleeping much longer. Stay out of the cities. Reached by phone. Guntherman said, I stand by my warnings. All it takes is one bad person. So they're actually calling these people. Oh my gosh, that's our news. Zero Hedge is also posting about this. So this guy, David Ingram, just sits around, lurks on Twitter, and finds posts that he disagrees with and says, these people are hysterical. And then posts stories about it on NBC News and calls it an article. Pretty wild that that's what our journalists do. Now, for David and other people at NBC, let me point you to this Reuters article that tells you exactly what this guy said. Former Hamas chief calls for protests and neighbors to join the war against Israel. And people are interpreting this word in a number of different ways. I've seen it being interpreted as action. I've seen it being interpreted as jihad. I've seen it interpreted as protest. And so you can make your judgment on it. But this is what the article says. Neighbors to join the war against Israel. They say this guy, former Hamas chief, which is the same organization responsible for what we saw, his name is Khalid Mashal. He called for protests across the Muslim world on Friday in support of the Palestinians and for people's neighboring countries to join the fight against Israel, saying we must head to the squares and streets of the Arab and Islamic world on Friday. Who currently heads the Hamas diaspora, said in a recorded statement. Said he's based in Qatar, said the governments and people of Jordan, Syria, Lebanon, and Egypt, they have a bigger duty to support the Palestinians. Says tribes of Jordan, sons of Jordan, brothers and sisters of Jordan, this is a moment of truth and the borders are closed to you. You all know your responsibility. His rallying cry came as Israel vowed to escalate its response to an attack by Hamas with a ground offensive. 200 targets struck. Gaza says 950 people killed in Gaza, 5,000 injured there. As we know, on Saturday, gunmen raged across Israel, killing well over 1,000 people at this point. And so that's what he's calling for, and the police are taking it seriously, right? This is not just right-wingers on talk shows who are talking about this. This is what the LAPD is doing. This came over from KTLA, says that local police are stepping up security. And look what they say in their language, right? See how this one works? See, they call it a day of jihad. See that? So why is that? Why are the news stories changing the words around? They called it a day of protest. But this is not what KTLA says. They say Israel's war with Hamas has now entered its 7th day with casualties mounting on both sides. Law enforcement agencies in the Los Angeles area are among many stepping up security on Friday after a former leader of Hamas, Khalid Mashal, same guy, called supporters to flood the streets for a day of jihad, right? And they've got that one in quotes. So why would Reuters be changing that to a day of protest? Isn't that curious? We've got some translation problems here. It's curious. I don't know what's happening. The uprising, Mashal says, the uprising is a response to the Zionists and their criminal leaders and what they wrought, and to the Americans who came to their aid. Oh, Reuters left that part out too. Isn't that curious? Weird. the Americans who came to their aid. So a day of jihad also to the Americans. Well, that's curious. Reuters didn't mention that in their article, did they? They left that one out of there. Maybe they don't speak the language all that well. Pathetic. So in his speech, Mishal called for the Ummah to engage in battle and for supporters to fight as jihad is an individual responsibility. So maybe those conservative right-wingers were onto something here. John Paul, an LA resident, said, I think it's very scary. You know, terrorism is intended to be scary. While there have been no specific credible threats in California, law enforcement agencies, including the Santa Monica, Beverly Hills, LA police departments, have issued statements confirming that they're aware of the potential threat. And they've got additional security at synagogues and at places of worship for the day of protests. Now, we don't have credible threats in the area right now, but that doesn't mean somebody isn't working by themselves. A rabbi said he didn't want to use his name. He says terrorists are not going to win. They say our schools are safe and so on. All right, so that's in LA, and they're not alone. New York City's doing the same thing. And these are not very right-wingy type places, are they? No, not at all. We see New York City officials beef up the police presence on Friday's, Fox got it, the global day of jihad. They say despite no specific or credible threats. In Thursday's news, in a statement on Thursday, the New York City Police Department said there are no specific credible threats to New York City. We are aware of concerns that postings circulated online have caused, and we've increased our uniform deployments at large gatherings and cultural sites to ensure public safety out of an abundance of caution, they say. And so you've seen a lot of the protests in various parts of the country. On Thursday evening, Kathy Hochul, the governor of New York, joined Mayor Adams and city leaders speaking about added precautions. Mayor Adams said, yes, there are no specific and credible threats, but he was aware of the protest planned for Friday. And listen, this is Hamas's global call of action. Isn't that weird? Action, protests, jihad, tomato. Still, a surge of uniformed New York City police officers will be spread throughout the city, including at places like houses of worship and in Jewish neighborhoods. Public schools not scheduled to be closed, nor will yeshivas and private schools. If you see something, say something. And we remember that from the old 9/11 days. So that's fun. So that's what's in New York. Portland's doing the same thing. And I think I saw a share over on Locals that Dallas is doing the same thing. Basically, they've issued an announcement. We'll read through that one. But the same thing's happening in Portland, right? And these are not, again, right-wing areas. So a former Hamas leader called for global jihad. They got it right. And Portland police say they've taken it seriously. They recognize that he said to take to the streets in a global day. In a video statement that was obtained by Reuters that they couldn't even translate appropriately, they said, we must head to the squares and the streets of the Arab and Islamic world. He called on his brothers and sisters in Jordan, Syria, Lebanon, and Egypt to take action and rally around the cause. Now, jihad is defined as a struggle or fight against the enemies of Islam, as well as the spiritual struggle within oneself against sin. So the rallying cry came as Israel vowed to increase their response, and as a fighter jet and others struck 200 targets in the city overnight. Global Day of Jihad was trending on the X platform, even though many people are saying there's no credible threat. New York City, LA, others are bracing for impact. Here's the story over from Dallas. Shout out to Christina for flagging it. You've got, as the country, this is from the Dallas police, as our country and the city continue to follow the unimaginable violence in the Middle East, the Dallas Police Department continues to monitor for any potential threats against our city. At this time, no credible threats, but we want to reassure the public we're continuing to monitor and share intelligence around the clock. We're working around the clock. We've increased visibility at houses of worship and we will always respond if there's a need for further police presence or a call for service. If you see something, say something. It is together we keep our city safe. So police are hitting the button around a bit, making sure that there isn't any nefarious activity happening, which is good. I mean, that's kind of what police and the government is there to do, is to make sure there isn't violence. And the question, though, is why are they trying to smear Republicans as though we're making a big deal about something when we're not? Now, here's an update. Israel, as we saw, right, the reason these things are a little concerning is because there's a very rapid escalation happening right now. We just saw this one drop. Israel tells the UN to evacuate the northern Gaza Strip within 24 hours. It's kind of a quick turnaround time, right? And something's happening. Somebody's going 24 hours. All right, what's up? So the Israeli Ministry of Defense and the IDF notified the UN just before midnight local time that Palestinians living north of the Wadi Gaza should evacuate to the southern part of the Gaza Strip in the next 24 hours. So if you look at a map, it is a big strip. It's just, move down. This is according to a UN spokesperson called Stephanie Dujarric and another source with direct knowledge. Now, they tell us there's more than 1 million Palestinians living in that area. The message could be a signal that the Israeli military is preparing for an imminent ground operation. So they told Axios that the reason for the notification was in order for civilians to not be hurt, right? Get out of there. They said, we call on all civilians in Gaza City to move south. The Israeli defense minister said that was done on Friday, along with the U.S. Secretary of Defense, the double face masking, face shielding, brave soldier protecting America, Lloyd Austin. They said, we don't want to harm them. Whoever wants to save his life should go south. Hamas is camouflaging itself inside the civilian population, and we're going to go in and dismantle the infrastructure. Death tolls now, according to Axios, 1,500 Palestinians, 1,200 Israelis have been killed, thousands have been injured, hundreds of others been displaced since the fighting began. And now what they're saying is they should move south, urging the residents to distance themselves from Hamas. And the UN is responding to this, okay? So the UN, they told Axios, okay, so Israel made the order. They say today, the UN's really not happy about it. They said today, just before midnight time, team leaders of the UN office and the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs and the Department of Safety and Security in Gaza, we were informed by their liaison officers that the Israeli military, that the entire population should relocate in the next 24 hours. So the UN's not happy. They say this amounts to approximately 1.1 million people. The same order applied to all the UN staff and those sheltered in UN facilities, including schools, health centers, and clinics. So the UN, she said in a statement, considers it impossible for such a movement to take place without devastating humanitarian consequences. And they say back to Israel, the United Nations strongly appeals for any such order, if confirmed, to be rescinded, avoiding what could transform what is already a tragedy into a calamitous situation, right? So that's the UN pushing back now. So state of play, the UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres spoke twice Thursday night with an Israeli ambassador and said he wants to get clarification at the highest political level about Israel's request to evacuate the population from the northern Gaza Strip. He, in a statement, Erdogan from Israel, no, wait a minute. Yeah, this guy, UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres spoke twice with Israeli ambassador to the UN, Gilad Erdan. So Erdan is from Israel. He says, the UN's response to Israel's early warning to the residents of Gaza is shameful. He says, we warned them to get out, and now you're calling for us to undo that? He said, for many years, the UN has turned a blind eye to the arming of Hamas and its use of the civilian population and civilian infrastructure in the Gaza Strip as a hiding place for murder and weapons, said the Israeli ambassador. Now, instead of standing by Israel, whose citizens were slaughtered by Hamas terrorists and who tries to minimize harm to those not involved, the UN, it now preaches to Israel. It is better for the UN to focus now on returning the hostages, condemning Hamas, and supporting Israel's right to defend itself. Woo! So things are getting tense there. And it looks like right now, in fact, I think the IDF is going in to Gaza. And so let's see. That is still the top story, so no updates on that one. But let's carry on because we've got some reaction from this guy. He is a Republican in Congress, and here is what he says. You know, this is a difficult situation, and it might not be possible to actually help.
Let me ask you about the Palestinian civilians living in Gaza. The United States has talked about the goal of helping to secure the safe passage of those currently in Gaza. But how realistic is that, Congressman, given the violence that's unfolding? And how do you make sure you get the civilians out without helping Hamas?
It's very difficult, but I think it's important to note that the Palestinians and Hamas are two different things. The Palestinian people, by and large, do not support Hamas. Hamas is a terrorist organization who oppress the Palestinians, and they were the roadblock to peace in the Middle East, you know, with Israel. So as long as you have Hamas there, the Palestinian people will not be free from this oppression. But to your point, you know, how do you vet Palestinians out of Gaza at this dangerous point in time? I don't know how you go on the ground to even evacuate, much less vet them to get outside of Gaza. And you know, it's a humanitarian crisis of extreme proportions. It's very, very sad to see what happened in Israel, but I think what you're going to see in Gaza as well.
Yeah, we don't really have much help when it comes to vetting people at the borders. We don't really know how to do that. So he's right. You can see a little frustrated, a little confused, kind of like asking a kid like a really complicated problem, like a calculus problem, like to an 8th grader. Hey, little Johnny, how do you solve the the limits of this function? And you're like, well, you know, it's a little complicated. So asking an American congressperson about borders is like, whoa, I'm just a congressman, okay? I can't answer those questions. So he, you know, doesn't have much thought on that. But the point remains, it's a 1.1 million people, and there's, you know, a very considerable contingent of people in that group who are questionable, right, for transfer to Israel or to another location. And so it's a precarious position. The question is, what's going to happen with it? George Bush, one of the people in charge during the prior epoch of Middle East chaos, says it's going to be chaos, and I don't doubt it for a minute. They're going to continue, I think, to create a wedge amongst the right to try to separate the right. And I don't know that there's much there to do that, but their side is in total disarray. Rashida Tlaib can't keep her flag straight. And so we'll continue to cover as this goes on, my friends. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for liking this video as we carry on. All right, now that we know what the baseline is, what's happening with our citizens there? The United States government is now demanding that the evacuees from Israel and the Gaza Strip pay for their flights out of there because, well, the U.S. government is basically bankrupt and they don't have the funds or something. Now, my question is, why don't these people just request a flight to the southern border? Then they can just walk across, and we know our government is paying for a lot of that, so we'll talk about it. But the good news, theoretically, for the citizens stranded there in Israel is that the State Department is now jumping onto this. And in fact, they posted a post on the X, and we're going to walk through it because I clicked through this. I thought, let's role play for a minute and just pretend that we're stuck there. What happens if I follow the State Department's instructions? What do I have to do? Turns out they want you to fill out a promissory note, like a loan agreement, so that you can pay for your flights. All right, so we're going to jump in. This is what the State Department posted. And let's just say that we have been caught up in this attack and disaster, and we're watching from Israel. And we say, man, we're U.S. citizens and we can't get out of here. We need some help. There's no commercial flights. We're stranded. What is my government doing since I'm a U.S. citizen? Oh, good news. They posted this on X. Starting on October 13th, we will secure charter flights, since many of the commercial flights, if not all of them, are canceled, charter flights to help U.S. citizens and immediate family members who have been unable to book commercial transit and seek a safe means of departing Israel. And you say, wow, that's really nice. Well, our government's doing something useful. We know they kind of botched different emergencies, like what happened in East Palestine with the trail derailment. We also saw that they really can't, respond to a fire when it happens in Maui. But maybe since, this is a foreign country, we've got a lot of foreign affairs apparatus, equipment, but can we get them out of there? Great news, State Department says we can. So you're on X, you're like, great, what do I do? Okay, let's click this link. Okay, I need to follow this. All right, where can I go? They send you over to the State Department website. They say, hey, guess what? U.S. government to assist U.S. citizens departing Israel. I say, yes, I know. I saw the X tweet about it. Okay, where do I click to get help? They say the State Department, they tell us here, the State Department has no higher priority than the safety and the security of U.S. citizens overseas. Starting on October 13th, we will arrange charter flights to assist citizens and their immediate family members who've been unable to book a flight. From these locations, then individuals will be able to make their own onward travel arrangements to the destination of their choice. These initial transportation options will be augmented in the coming days, and senior State Department officials are actively working with airline carriers and international partners on how best to provide additional options to those seeking to depart. U.S. citizens in need of assistance should complete our crisis intake form on travel.state.gov. Now, when I was here this morning and I was prepping for the show, they did not have a link here, okay? So they came back and they actually added a link to this. Okay, there wasn't even a link. They just said that you needed to go to travel.state.gov and click the crisis intake form. All right, so I was going to role play here. Where should I go? But they fixed it. This morning, it wasn't there. All right, so good on them for fixing it. But before this morning, before about an hour ago, this whole thing was just a blank text box. There was nowhere to go. They said, we will continue to monitor the situation and closely evaluate the demand from U.S. citizens in departing Israel on a real-time basis, but expect these initial travel options to facilitate the safe departure of thousands of citizens per week. There's thousands of American citizens there. The overall security situation, availability, and the reliability of commercial transportation will influence the duration of this departure assistance. You go, okay, great. Perfect. I can get some help. Now, as I mentioned this morning, there was no link here. So this morning, you'd have to just go through this and just like, where the hell do I go? That's great that there's help, but there's nowhere to click. And so what I did this morning is I clicked back over to the State Department website when there was no link. And this is what you saw, right? This is where you go. Israel's under attack to the State Department. And as you navigate through this, you go, okay, well, that's where I get some help. And the link is there now. But then you would have had to have gone here. And this is the crisis intake form, right? So now they've linked this crisis intake form back on the main post, which is good. Saves everybody some searching for it, but a lot of people couldn't find it at first. So now you go over and you fill out the crisis intake form, and which is what we're going to do now together. So again, we're stuck in the Middle East. We're stuck in Israel. And they're really going to be helping either side. The U.S. State Department doesn't care. They say, all right, hey, this is a form for U.S. citizens and eligible family members. Don't submit more than one form per person. And here's what the situation is. Please select the event for which you are contacting the State Department. Say, okay, well, I'm in Israel and I'm a U.S. citizen and I just got attacked and I'd like to get out of here. So we click Israel. Israel, October 2023. The only other option is Gaza. You're a Gaza citizen, and if I don't see what I'm looking for, that might be for the Hamas terrorists. Like, well, I want to come across and invade America. Can I come across the southern border? If I'm not, I don't see what I'm looking for. Maybe that's them. But yeah, we'll be Israelis. We'll be a U.S. citizen in Israel who wants to leave. So see the information below for all types of requests. They say, here's what you can do. Use this for other things, okay? If you're seeking passport stuff, go elsewhere. We can only help you with this. Now, we say, okay, Israel, next. Who is requesting this service? Okay, I'm requesting it for myself. What is the citizenship status of the person in need? Okay, I'm a U.S. citizen. Perfect. All right, we're getting somewhere now. Now we're getting somewhere. We're about to get out of a war zone. All right, requested service. How can our government help us in this war zone? First option, I plan to stay in the country and I want to continue receiving updates from the embassy. No. We want to get out of the country. And you just said you could help us book a flight. So I want that option. That's not that one. Option 2, I plan to leave the country on my own. No, I can't. I'm on your website because I need help. Perfect. I plan to leave the country and may need assistance to leave. That sounds good. I'm liking option number 3 here. Pretty good. Or number 4, I'm confirming that I've left the country on my own. No, don't need that either. So we're going to go with option number 3. I may need assistance. No, I do need assistance. Okay. I need a flight, man. So additional assistance. Perfect. Okay. How can our U.S. government help us? Additional assistance. I may need a loan from the U.S. government to buy a commercial ticket. Huh? What? A loan? No, man, I need a flight. And there are no commercial tickets. Okay, so, that's like a bad option, but maybe we'll take that option. Here's another one. I need help with the U.S. passport. No, that's not what I need. I need help with a visa for my accompanying child or spouse or minor. What? No, man, I need a plane ticket. I don't need a loan for a plane ticket, but I need a plane ticket. So let me just click this one and just see if they can help. No, I'm not a robot. I'm stranded in a war zone. Please help. Okay, next button. Okay, this is where we go. Israel. To access information about this, fill out your first name, your gender, male, female, or unspecified, it depends. Date of birth, place of birth, proof of citizenship. How do you have to prove it? Passport, birth certificate, current location, Israel. Of course, we know that. Where's your address? What's your contact information? Emergency contact, add your family members, and that's it. Right now, we're obviously not going to play any further than this, but this is what you fill out. Now, apparently, when you continue to play into that further, right, when you go through that, and it's the same thing. I actually tested this just because I was curious. I was like, I wonder if they'll pay if you're from Gaza, okay? Because I wonder if they'd give you different options if you're from Gaza. And that is not the case, okay? It's the same form either way. And I'm trying to go back to the original form. So here is what it looks like when you go through it from the Gaza perspective, because it would be interesting, like if you had to get a loan if you're coming from Israel, but they'll fly out of there first class from Gaza, right, or something. And that's not what happens. So if you click Gaza, as we just did, I'm requesting this for myself, U.S. citizen, same options. I may need assistance to leave, and I may need a loan from the government to buy a commercial plane ticket. And, this is a war zone. Like, this is what our government is supposed to do, right? If you think the government is legitimate in any way, it's to help its citizens when there's absolutely no way for the citizens to help themselves. Like, it's a social safety net in some ways. And so that's what they've got. Now, you got to pay for your own butt to get out of there. And if you continue on in the form, apparently this is what Yitz Friedman, who is on the X, he says. He works over at the American Accountability Foundation. He says, here's what the Biden administration is making Americans sign if they want to be evacuated. They must promise to pay the State Department for the privilege of being rescued by their own government from a war zone after every American airline canceled flights, and they're going to be charged interest if they don't pay on time. Oh, man, that's pretty rude. They're our own citizens. Meanwhile, illegal immigrants get free trips to the United States and all sorts of stuff. Yeah, I mean, hotel rooms and stuff. Like, they book them up at, like New York City hotels. So, now that is the actual update from Yitz. Now, I actually pulled up the form as well. And let's take a look at what that looks like. Here it is. So this is the evacuee manifest and the promissory note, right? Coming from the United States Department of State. They say, okay, here, last name Govea, Rob, here, I got, I'm stranded here. Current lodging, where you may be contacted now, wherever you are. Email address, medical condition, all your information, any accompanying children, emergency contacts, Mama Govea. Last name for everybody, no kids. All right, promissory note. Now, okay, little Rob, you want to be evacuated? Oh, okay, well, how about this? This is for all evacuees, including third-party contractors. It's a promissory note and a repayment agreement. I clearly understand that I'm accepting evacuation of my own free will and at my own risk to a location chosen by the government. The mode of transportation will be charter or military transport. I understand that the evacuation flight may not comply with normal safety provisions, standard waiver stuff. But look at this, man. Oh, our government is, we get taxed everywhere. Everywhere you look, they just tax you everything, right? Sales tax, property tax. You go stay at a hotel tax. You fly in an airplane, airline tax, taxes tax. Then they tax you income. Then they tax you on your state level, all over the place. For what? Nothing. Then you get stranded because our own government is funding, multiple sides of conflicts all around the globe. And they say, here, U.S. citizens, if you need help getting out of this war zone, I promise to repay the U.S. government in U.S. dollars within 30 days of being billed. And if not repaid within 60 days, there's going to be an interest rate, buddy, for all applicable expenses for our evacuation. This evacuation loan is in addition to any other U.S. government loans received for other purposes, and I will keep the Department of State's accounts receivable branch informed of my addresses until I repay my loan in full. If I'm unable to repay my loan, the Department of State may forward me on an installment agreement, so they'll let you get back on a payment plan. I understand that I will be billed at the cost of our transportation, no greater than the amount of a full fare economy flight. Okay, so I wanted to see how much this would be. Like, what you're paying for like a C whatever 180 to fly you? Right, that's a pretty expensive flight. But if it's just like an economy, fee, or a comparable alternate transportation, so they're going to be sticking people for like $500 for like a plane ticket. That's what our government does, right? In addition to you paying income taxes for your whole life, you've also got to come up for this. My obligation to repay my loan will not be considered paid in full until it's cleared through the Treasury. And until I have paid my loan in full, I and all listed U.S. family members will only be eligible for a limited U.S. passport. So they'll actually just kind of limit your passport. C-130. If my loan is in default, I and all listed U.S. citizen family members will not be eligible for passports, for limited validity passports. My loan is going to be subject to interest and penalties. So if you just get evacuated from a war zone and your life's in disarray for a little while, late fees, buddy, interest payments. I will be liable for also collection costs as well. I'm going to make my payments to the Department of State and the accounts receivable, and I understand that I own and owe the government repayment. My government may seek reimbursement for me for the evacuation. You want to leave or do you want to stay here and get shelled by Hamas? What do you want to do? Sign right here. Sign right here. Plane's leaving, man. Sign here. All right. Oh, let's go. So that's our government, right, in order. And, I understand a lot of this is routine. And I understand a lot of this is a waiver. And you don't want people being sued if you're evacuating them and all that stuff. But, wow. So they're going to stick you over $500 in the middle of a war zone. Thanks for paying taxes your whole life. What do we pay taxes for? I don't even know what they pay for. I don't know. Other than military equipment for the Taliban, if the U.S. government can't even evacuate us. So that's what's happening. That's our government. And the question is, where is all this money going? A lot of criticism for the State Department from Anthony Blinken and the Biden administration about why Iran is sitting on $6 billion of cash liquidity that apparently was released by the U.S. government. Here's what Blinken says.
Now, when it comes to $6 billion, it's important to be very clear because, unfortunately, some people are either misinformed or they're misinforming. The money in question, Iranian money, not American taxpayer dollars, is money that was allowed to accrue in a bank account from the sale of Iranian oil. What we did is we moved the money from one account in South Korea to another account in Qatar where the money could actually be used, but under the supervision of our Treasury Department, only for humanitarian purposes, and not a dollar of that money has been spent to date. And we retain the right to freeze that account.
I'm sure that they do, and I'm sure that they will. Interesting questions there. Now, Rand Paul says that there's a lot of money that has not been frozen. In fact, it's still going over to the Taliban, still paying for it because for some stupid reason, our government thinks that it's useful to pay our enemies. And Rand Paul is going to explain this here as soon as this video stops its circle of death and loads for us because it realizes we're in the middle of a live stream. Let's see if it opens again. All right. If it doesn't open again, I have an alternative solution. And we'll look for it right now. Sometimes they actually load. It just takes a minute. And let's see if I can pull it up this way. Oh, there it is.
Now we're in this situation that Israel.
Here's Rand Paul.
Now we're in this situation that Israel needs emergency aid. How will you deal with that? What is your recommendation?
The same way I always have is that I'm all for the aid. In fact, we had this debate about a year ago with Democrats. They wanted $1 billion more for Iron Dome, and I said, sure, I'm for that. Let's take it from a fund that we're funding the Taliban with. There's still a couple $1 billion out there that we are the Afghan Reconstruction Fund that's going to the Taliban, to people who are not our friends, who are our enemies in
I don't
Afghanistan.
understand that. Why are we funding the Taliban?
They think that somehow when you give money to your enemies, it makes them less of an adversary. We still give money to the Palestinian Authority. We give money to the PLO. So what I would say is, sure, let's fund whatever Israel needs now, but let's take it from funds that we're sending to countries that don't like us, that burn our flag, that chant "Debt to America." Why are we giving money to people who hate us? So let's give it to our friends if need be, but let's make sure we take it from somewhere else in the budget. And that may or may not make me very popular, but I insist on this all of the time. And if you don't do it, that's why you wind up with a $33 trillion debt.
Well, I mean, has the administration commented on the fact that we've been giving money to the Palestinian Authority?
I have these battles all the time. I've battled the head of Senate Foreign Relations over this many times on the floor, over whether we should still be giving money to the Taliban, whether we still should be giving money to the Palestinians. So years ago, I introduced the first bill that would have gotten rid of these martyr payments, where people who were blowing themselves up and blowing up Israeli civilians were getting payments, but it was coming out of a fund that the U.S. government was funding this fund. So I was the first one to introduce that, and they got rid of some of the payments, but some of those payments are still going to the Palestinians, and I'm for eliminating all of that foreign aid to the Palestinian Authority.
Senator, we want to know.
All right, so that's Rand Paul. And I don't doubt that for a minute. I mean, we've gone through a lot of the different spending bills and all of the different, continuing resolutions and the different things that have come up when the spending happens. And they just throw money, millions of dollars and billions of dollars, hundreds of millions just around like it ain't nothing, man, like it's tip money. And this is Biden now explaining what his government is going to be doing here as a result of all of this, including having virtual meetings with the family members who are suffering.
Why do you feel so strongly about speaking to these families personally on Zoom?
Because I think they have to know that the President of the United States of America cares deeply about what's happening, deeply. We have to communicate to the world. This is critical. This is not even human behavior. It's pure barbarism. And we're going to do everything in our power to get them home if we can find them.
All right, yeah, so if we can find them, we're going to get them home. It's like, man, I don't even know what he's saying. He's just a mess. So he's going to have some Zoom meetings with some people. That's cool. Now, he also said this the other day, and I thought this was an interesting thing because I have actually been to Dachau. I went here when I was in college, and I actually got to see this location in Germany, and this is what Biden said.
And we mourn the act you and so many leaders have across the country, showing us what thousands of years of Jewish history has shown us. The enduring strength, and I mean this sincerely, the enduring strength and spirit of the Jewish community. If you excuse a point of personal privilege, you should say in the Senate. That's why I took my kids, everyone when they turned 14 years old, one at a time, put them on a plane and took them to Dachau. I wanted them to see that you could not know what was going on walking through those gates. You could not fail to understand as a country what was going on.
All right, so interesting. He's an interesting guy. anyways, so I did actually have the opportunity to go to Dachau. I was traveling with my mother in Europe, and we were there for a Paris air show, and we traveled around a bit. I went to Munich, and then we went to Dachau, and I was able to go travel around and experience what the scene looked like. And it was a very moving, very powerful experience. And the entire trip was an interesting thing. And what happened when we were in Germany, we actually met this couple. We actually met this mother who had a real good connection with my mom. She had two younger kids, much younger than me at the time. And she was this German woman with two German kids. And she wanted her kids to hang out with this this like American mother and son. And so we ended up traveling around with them a bunch. They took us to different restaurants, and it was a really fun experience. But when we told them that we were going to Dachau, she was so upset. She was so depressed. You know, they were so ashamed of that part of their history. And it's just a powerful thing. And so, you know, this is something that I think is a powerful conflict, right? This is something that we've been dealing with as humanity for not just recent modernity. It's been going on for a long time. And I don't know that Biden's trips to Dachau did anything. I mean, his kids were kind of a mess, Hunter and Ashley and so on. But it is a powerful thing. And I do think it's pretty shameful when our own government can't even take care of our own citizens. You know, when Joe Biden will stand there and talk about how incredible this is, and then we still have the State Department like, sign your promissory note here. Right? They all talk. But our government is mostly incompetent, and it's just a shame to see it in spite of the need for competence. We just don't have it. And now they're asking people to sign promissory notes. So that's what's going on there, my friends. Updates from the State Department. Thank you for liking this video wherever you're watching it. Thank you for sharing it with a friend. And thank you for joining us back here on the next one. Now, we've got one final clip, one final segment as well here. And this one involves Donald Trump himself. Donald Trump responds to some comments he made about Israel. A lot of people on the right kind of criticizing him on this one, including senators who were saying, you know, maybe this is not the most constructive type of language for Trump to use when he calls groups like Hezbollah, quote, smart. Now, you can be the judge about whether that quote is being taken out of context. I certainly think you'll see that it is. But Trump said it, and he's being careful about his language. Of course, he was the president. He got to deal with Israel. He was responsible for a lot of positive updates in Israel by many people's interpretations. And so here's what he's saying. You can be the judge of what he means by this as we listen.
We followed the whole thing, and about 15 seconds later, it was all over, and we did it. But I'll never forget that Bibi Netanyahu let us down. That was a very terrible thing, I will say that. And so when I see sometimes the intelligence, you talk about the intelligence, or you talk about some of the things that went wrong over the last week, they've got to straighten it out, because they're fighting potentially a very big force. They're fighting potentially Iran. And when they have people saying the wrong things, everything they say is being digested by these people, because they're vicious and they're smart. And boy, are they vicious, because nobody's ever seen the kind of sight that we've seen. Nobody's ever seen it. But they cannot play games. So we were disappointed by that, very disappointed. But we did the job ourselves, and it was absolute precision, magnificent, beautiful job. And then Bibi tried to take credit for it. That wasn't good. That didn't make me feel too good, but that's all right. So they got to strengthen themselves up.
All right, so Trump said Hezbollah is smart. Okay, that's the headline. Everybody took that out of context. Now, you can be the judge. Do you think he's sitting there saying that those Hezbollah guys are really smart, man? What they're doing is incredible. What a bunch of geniuses. Or no? Or is he saying, as he said literally, that they're vicious and they're smart? Right? And smart, the way I interpret that, it means tactical. It means, you know, actually intelligent. Like it is a mistake to underestimate your opponent or your enemy, right? Never underestimate the power of your opponent. Didn't Bruce Lee say that or something? It is very important that you don't do that. And that's what he's saying, right? They're cunning, they're sly, they are crafty. So don't underestimate them, right? They are smart. And apparently, they got the jump on a bunch of very intelligent intelligence officials that didn't even know this was happening. So that was his statement. Now, a lot of people flipping out over this. In fact, on Fox News, they are trying to hammer him over this statement. This is what this one guy asked Senator John Thune about over on the network.
It's the free world. That's a former president of the United States is saying these things about Hezbollah, repeating the name Barack Hussein Obama constantly at a West Palm Beach speech. Is that constructive behavior, criticizing Benjamin Netanyahu in this environment, at this powder keg moment? Is that behavior and wording that you want to hear out of your likely Republican nominee for president of the United States?
All I'm simply saying, Neil, is I don't think his age has anything to do with that. I think he's making statements he wants to make, and yes, I mean I don't view Hezbollah or Hamas to be smart. I view them to be evil and depraved. That's how I would characterize it. It's he has under our Constitution, the liberty to say what he wants to say, and he can be judged for it. And I think that's what the American people are going to have to do. And they're going to have an opportunity to do that in a presidential election that's coming up ahead of us. But I think how you characterize things in an environment like this, sort of a high-threat environment, if you look at the dangers that we face around the world, is important. And I hope people, as they look at these leaders, will make decisions and conclusions based upon who they think is best able to manage not only the United States of America and our domestic challenges, but the global stage where the rest of the world looks to the U.S. for leadership.
Right. Senator John.
Okay, so you can be evil and you can be smart, right, at the same time. I mean, I don't know what other language you would use. You could call them devious. Anyways, all right, so Trump's getting hit over that. Now, you can see that Fox News host was very unhappy about it. Now, the question that Trump brought up was about intelligence failures. And so we'll listen to some of those from this guy. He's with Doctors Without Borders, and he's been there, and he says that he's got some good insight on what happened as this all unfolded. Then we'll get to Kevin McCarthy, who also, they try to bait him into saying something bad about Trump, but he doesn't take it. This is the conversation about the intelligence that may have been missed.
The Israeli intelligence started picking up on, small signs that each of them alone doesn't really show anything. But when you put all of them together, you start getting this very worrying picture of Hamas maybe thinking of doing something. And because of all of those signs, a series of high-level consultations took place. Some of it on Friday night, several hours, 4 or 5 hours before the Hamas attack. And those consultations were, the IDF Chief of Staff, General Halevi, was on the consultation, the head of the military intelligence, the head of the Southern Command, the head of the Shin Bet security agency. So all the top security officials in the country were on those conference calls. And the dilemma was whether this is a real preparation for an attack or an exercise. And there were several proposals to put the border, all the IDF forces on the border, on high alert. And at the end, the decision was not to do it and wait for the morning to see what happens. Several hours later, the attack took place.
If these were high-level consultations, what has the Prime Minister's office said about all of this?
Well, the main question was whether someone updated the Prime Minister or the Minister of Defense. And the truth is, nobody did.
Wow.
Netanyahu, according to his office, and I have to say, I checked it with several sources, and I think that they're not lying when they're saying it, that Netanyahu got his update at 6:29 a.m. when the rockets were, when Hamas started firing rockets and mortar shells at those villages near the border. And until then, he didn't even know that there was this issue, that there was this intelligence signs that something might be happening. But, at 6:29, it was already too late.
That is so striking. And of course, that has been one of the biggest questions that everyone has, given how venerated Israel's security and intelligence apparatus is. But, Barak, I was looking at this, and we were talking about this last night at the end of the show. This is another piece really based on reporting that you had that's highly relevant right now, because you had the reporting when Trump accused Netanyahu of disloyalty. He was mad that he had acknowledged President Biden's win, and he's been criticizing him publicly. He's praising Hezbollah is very smart. He's been going off and
he wasn't praising them. He wasn't praising them like, wow, they're intelligent. I'd like to get them in my administration. I need smart people on my team.
criticizing really the missed intelligence and that Netanyahu was caught off guard and saying that he was ill prepared to handle this essentially.
Yes, I think that if anybody was still wondering whether Donald Trump cooled down from the fact that Netanyahu congratulated Joe Biden after he won the elections, he had no other choice. You know, you need to congratulate the new president. So Donald Trump did not cool down. Not only did he not cool down, it seems that he's even, more angry at Netanyahu, and it makes him say, really weird stuff. And I think that a lot of people that are both Netanyahu supporters and Trump supporters, raised eyebrows over those comments that honestly are really mind-boggling.
Yeah, and I asked Netanyahu about that, and he if it bothered him, because I mean, not only did he accuse him of disloyalty, he also used an expletive to you, saying "f him." Speaking of Netanyahu, I asked if that bothered him, and he kind of chalked it up to political life, saying things ebb and flow. Of course, that was before Trump was attacking him, days after the happiest day.
What Netanyahu told you, and this was very interesting because it was something that I did not know and nobody knew until he told us to you, that Trump sent him a note congratulating him for winning the elections. So I thought that, Trump was, cooling down. Apparently, he's not.
Nope, he's not. So I think is within his right to have comments about what his administration did and about his interactions with other world leaders, but they don't like it because it's right in the middle of a time when you're not supposed to say stuff like that, I guess. And so they brought this up with Kevin McCarthy as well. They're trying to get Kevin to come out and hit Trump. They want him to agree with Senator John Thune and also, kind of say Trump's wrong and Trump shouldn't have said smart and on and on and on, but he's not going to do it.
I want to ask you about the former president's comments. He gave this speech.
They're all outraged.
Bibi Netanyahu let us down. He at some point said Hezbollah, they're very smart. In Axios had a quote about Trump and the Israeli prime minister. He said, the first person that congratulated Biden, this is Trump talking, was Bibi Netanyahu, the man I did more for than any other person I dealt with. Bibi could have stayed quiet. He has made a terrible mistake. I have spoken to him since. Expletive him. Do you think this is personal for the former president? What do you make of these comments yesterday?
Look, I don't know about these comments because the one thing I've witnessed...
But you just heard them.
I know, I just heard them, but I've witnessed these two men together. Think about what President Trump accomplished. The Abraham Accords, something we haven't seen in years.
I get all of that, but what about the comments this week, this time, at this moment?
Those comments are not the comments that I've seen him with Bibi. And I've been with the prime minister many times. I've been with President Trump. I've been with them together. They have a bond together. So I don't think that is a normal thing what President Trump would say about it.
He hasn't talked to him since the election. My point is, at this moment, when Israel's going through what it's going through, does this factor in from the former president?
I think at this moment, everybody has to be united. The world is much different than we look. And it's not just Israel that we're looking at. Remember, this looks a lot like the 1930s. You have this axis of evil, these powers. Iran, Russia, and China. This is a much different world than when President Trump was in. Now we have war in Ukraine, we have war in Israel, we have embassies, 5 embassies we had to evacuate, we've got a wide open border, we've got inflation. I mean, this administration has made America weaker and had made our adversaries stronger and bounded them together.
This is the former president.
All right, so they're all just trying to get Trump on that one. So Trump issued a statement and he posted this over on Truth. And here's what he says on Truth. He says, let's open this up. He says, there was no better friend, statement from Donald Trump, 45th president of the United States, says there was no better friend or ally of Israel than President Donald J. Trump. Under my leadership, the United States stood in complete solidarity with Israel, and as a result, Israel was safe. America was safe. And for the first time in decades, we made historic strides for peace in the Middle East. As an example, all of the experts said that the Abraham Accords couldn't be done, but We got them done, and we were able to set the Middle East in a new and positive direction. Crooked Joe's weakness and incompetence has empowered and emboldened our enemies all over the world. And now many lives have been so needlessly lost. What a horrible failure Biden has been in sending $6 billion to Iran in a simple hostage swap when Iran is the state sponsor of terrorist groups, Hamas, Hezbollah, and others. Biden's massive loosening of sanctions allowed $80 to $100 billion of Iranian oil sales, much of which the regime poured into financing its bloody campaigns of terror around the globe. When I was president, and exclusively because of me, Iran was broke, wanting to make a deal. No wonder the world is in absolute chaos. With President Trump back in office, Israel and everyone else will be safe again. Signed by Donald Trump. So it's an interesting thing that we see happening here, right? The world was much better, right? Like, in other words, they're still upset over mean tweets, okay? They're still angry over mean tweets. Trump's world was much better. Joe Biden's world is a disaster, but Trump says something about Bibi that they don't like, and they have a meltdown over it. Why are you mad about Trump's speech rather than the situation? Why don't you go condemn Joe Biden and all of these other people for the actual things that are happening under his watch, rather than blaming Donald Trump for his statements where he's just said the word smart in a favorable praising way, but they manipulate everything, they take everything out of context and try to spin it for their own ends. But we're not going to let them do that here. And so, my friends, we'll continue to cover this as it unfolds and see how else they try to smear the right as it goes on. We'll be here. Thank you for joining us as we do. Thank you for visiting robertgovea.com to sign up for our daily newsletter, and we'll be looking forward to seeing you there and on the next one. All right, my friends, we are done on the day. Whew, and we got some good stuff covered. Trump responding to the Israel comments. We've got U.S. citizens must sign promissory notes before they evacuate. And we've got George Bush, one of the architects of a lot of chaos in the Middle East, talking about chaos in the Middle East, saying that there will be more of it to come. And so now, my friends, let's hear from you and see what you have to say about this. I know we got a couple of super chats in the house, and I'm grateful for your support and your donos and your love. We are going to go over to watchingthewatchers.locals.com for our after party. And we are going to say what's up to all of our friends who made donos at the Eric's House fundraiser. One more reminder that tomorrow we'll be doing a 4-hour live stream at the Eric's House YouTube channel. So if you want to join us over there, Eric's House YouTube channel, where we'll talk about hope and healing for people who've lost a loved one due to suicide, overdose, or tragic death. So come check us out. And if you want to make a very much appreciated donation, watchersupport.com will take you right over to our page. Now, in the house, starting us off this lovely morning is Voice of the People. Good to see you, Voice. Thanks for bringing in 10 new members. We got Angie W., Unknown Artist. We got Jerry Moore, What About Me? We got Captain Flatastic, David M., Beautifully Inappropriate, Lactonic, Jamar, and Mia J., all coming in courtesy of Voice of the People. Voice, thank you for doing that and keeping our membos here joining us. Thanks, Voice. It's a beautiful Friday. Words is here. Says, hi, Rob, and all the watchers here. I need some help. I have a brother with severe TDS. I want to show him a montage of Tishy James' campaigns and hate speeches, but it needs to be from a source that he won't immediately dismiss, like True Social or Epoch Times. Anyone know where I can find footage like that? I tried to find something on a mind map, but I can't seem to access them prior to October. Help. Yeah, so I've got some Letitia James stuff. Let me see.
5 witnesses and review of millions of documents that were submitted.
I don't know specifically what you're looking for, but yeah, here's one. I'll put this one in the Telegram.
Will you sue him for us?
Sorry about that. I'll put this one in the Telegram, and you can decide what to do if this one's good enough. But it's coming from me.
Donald Trump. We need to follow his money. What is fueling my soul right now is Trump.
This illegitimate president. I look forward to going into the office of Attorney General every day, suing him, and then going home.
So that one, but that's not I mean, that's just her. That's her. I don't know if that's a good source or not, but that's just her speaking. And sorry, I blew out the eardrums on that. But that is that what you're looking for? You could send that to him. I mean, it's her words. It's not from a source, like it's not from Reuters or something. But you could send that one to him. I think that might be what you're looking for, actually. And thanks for the dono words. Hopefully that's good. We got, what did I do now? I'm all discombobulated. I clicked the wrong, Tishy James almost blew my eardrums out and wrecked our brains today. We got T. Lewis says, Trump saying that they are smart is his way of saying to never underestimate them. I agree with that totally. I think it's basically an innocent statement. I think it's an observation. Like he outsmarted the defense. The Hamas outsmarted the defense, obviously, right? And it's not a favorable thing. It's just saying that they out-tacticalized them. They outmaneuvered them. They got advantage. It was a surprise attack, right? It's not a good thing. It's not an endorsement. It's just an observation. They're flipping out about it. They want to probably indict him again. Voice says, I streamed Eric Adams' town hall last night. The amount of gaslighting. How do people not see that garbage? The only one to criticize him was kicked out. The only one to criticize him was kicked out. So, yeah, out of New York, I don't even know what they're trying to do with this border stuff. I think he says that they still want people in New York, right? Like, they're still a city of immigrants. But they have a collapsing city, so they're having problems there. MAGA Hat Stays says, DeSantis put out a story with a chopped up video saying Trump was pro-terror, anti-Israel. What a joke. Retweeted by Biden and the media. What is he doing? I don't know what DeSantis is doing. That looks like a Benny Johnson post, but I don't know what DeSantis is doing. Some people have said that he's a spoiler, that he's trying to take Trump out. I don't know that I believe that, but I've seen that around. Raymond Loera says, indentured servitude for leaving a war zone? Crazy, man. Yeah, you got to sign your life away. And if you can't pay for your evacuation, you're indebted to the U.S. Department of State and the Treasury forever. You're welcome, American citizen. Get back to work and pay your taxes. Good to see you, Raymond. Rich, what's up, Rich? As a supporter, welcome aboard, Rich. And so, hey, for our YouTube members, don't forget to grab the Telegram link. YouTube members, our after party takes place in Telegram. So come on over and join us there. In the YouTube app, navigate to the community tab section and join us over there on Telegram. Thanks, Rich. Good to see you. Thanks for being a supporter. What's up, Alan Harkin over on the Rumbles? Good to see you, my friend. Says, great show. Thanks for the nice dono, Alan. Says, informative, smart, and with just the right amount of class and flair. Bravo, as usual, friend. Thank you, Alan. I know the war stuff is complicated, so I know we're trying to do a good job here and cover the news, have a little bit amount of fun that's appropriate in the context of a really horrific situation, and try to just, make sense of what's happening. So thanks, Alan. Thanks for the nice dono. Thanks for being here and supporting us. I appreciate it. 51K is here. Says, someone on X said this has been the policy of the State Department for 70 years. Even so, it's still ridiculous. It is ridiculous. It just feels ridiculous. Maybe there's good reasons for it or whatever, but it's like, in the middle of a war zone, can we just write that off for a minute? We don't have that many wars. And look, I am not in favor of government handouts, by the way, okay? Anything but. But our government they just dump money into the garbage every day. And we can't pay for a couple $500. I mean, how much is a plane ticket from Israel to somewhere else very close nearby? Nothing. It's ridiculous. 51K. I agree. T. Lewis says, they did the exact same thing in Afghanistan. Some airlines were charging $1,400 per seat for flights out of Afghanistan. The U.S. government shared these links to these airlines on their website. When they informed Americans that they were stranded, they will help them get out. It's unbelievable. It is unbelievable that, it's our government. When I think of the American government, it should be like out of a movie. We've got how many Americans? We got 20 Americans. Okay. Deploy the hostage recovery team. You get the most badass Americans out there flying in there, taking all the hostages, coming back. It's like Hollywood. Don't mess with American hostages, right? Something like that. Kind of like what the Israelis are doing right now, right? Like the Israelis are just, hey, don't F with us. You know what I'm saying? Kind of like that. And they're saying, let's go get it. Let's go. You're done. Like, it's over for you. Thanks for playing. Like, I understand that reaction. But our government's like, have you checked kayak.com for their flight schedules? Idiots. All right. T. Lewis, good to see you. Crash says he cares so deeply. Please. He's the same man who repeatedly looked at his watch standing on the tarmac as they unloaded bodies from the Afghanistan withdrawal. 13 bodies. And now we've got how many more? A lot. We've got, in my view, says another day at the office, man. Another day at the office. Good to see you, in my view. Hopefully you're having a beautiful day on this lovely Friday, making it a great day, wrapping up the week. Drew's here, a member for 13 months. That's a baby and a half, man. Love you, bro. Love you back, Drew. Thanks for being a member. Thanks for being here. Thanks for supporting us for well over a year anniversary, and then one. It's awesome, man. And I really do appreciate it. I really, members are the backbone of what we do. So thank you to our members. We've got, in my view, says, see you tonight. Says, I hate Trump. Most terrorists do. Well, we're not going to have a show tonight, all right? This is the show for the day. I've got an event tonight, so I'm going to be going, actually this afternoon. As soon as we're done here, I'm scooting out of here and going to head on down there. But members, my plan is to either do a walk and talk later or to post something down from the event. And so we'll see you there as well. DHP, what's up, DHP? Nice hug. Thank you for that one. And the nice dono in the house. And Bruce Rice says, Rob, please say Angie Warren. Angie Warren in the house. It's good to see Angie Warren. Said it 3 times, Bruce. Thank you for the nice dono. And shout out to our friend Angie Warren in the house. Good to see you, Angie. Hopefully you both are, Bruce and Angie, hopefully you're both having a beautiful day. Peng is here. What's up, Peng? Inviting 5 membos into the house. Thank you for doing that, Peng. Peng 1. Bringing in Tazzy Wazzy, Tammy, Linda H., Sean Wookie, and 24/7 Live AZ Skies, all coming in courtesy of our friend Peng in the house. Thank you, Peng. And this one came in from Drew. Drew, what's up, Drew? Says, can one of our awesome people make a video clip of Biden napping at inappropriate times with the song Sleepy Joe by Herman's Hermits? I don't know that song. I don't know. That's a request for one of our meme smith extraordinaires, Drew. Drew has a request. Can one of our awesome people make a video clip of Biden napping at inappropriate times with the song Sleepy Joe by Herman's Hermits? It's a good request. I'm curious to see what that looks like. I don't know that song, but I'm sure it's appropriate. Social Viking says, why does anyone listen to CNN anymore? When we all know it's just a bunch of out-of-context quotes. CNN has an evil spin on facts, so stop clicking on and supporting them, and they will go away. From Social Viking. I don't know about that. I think that some of these people, some of these institutions are just like lost leaders. Like I saw Amazon, Bezos is going to lose like $100 million on Washington Post. So why do you have that? If not but for, it's worth it. It's worth it to them. Like if nobody watches, but they can still spin the news and sell their, Pfizer commercials or whatever, it's worth it to them. Even if nobody watches. But I get your point, Social Viking. It is trash. Hey, Drew, what's up, Drew? Drew gifted 5 new membos in. Drew brought in 5 new people. Toenail-less Cupcake is here. TJ Hartley's here. Let's Go Brandon's been a member for 5 months. And so Let's Go Brandon says, smart equals sneaky. There you go. That's maybe a better phrase. They're very sneaky. Ask our future child. That's a good comment. Member for 5 months, Brandon. Thank you for that. And Drew, bringing in 5 people. Toenail-less Cupcake, TJ Hartley, Vegetable Bloom, Johnny Commodi, and James F. all coming in courtesy of Drew bringing in 5 new members. And thank you for doing that, Drew. Amazing. And so, my friends, now, what I would like to do is say thank you to everybody who made some incredible donations over on the Eric's House page. And so, if you go to watchersupport.com, you can hop on here and make a dono and show up on this list. And I wanted to see who made the donos on the day. And let's see who we've got. So, as I said, Eric's House is an organization dedicated to people who've lost somebody to overdose, suicide, or tragic death. We've got an event coming up this Saturday, and you can see all this good stuff. Oh, hey, that's my book. And you know who else is going to be in here giving stuff away is the Rubos at rubosaltshop.com. And Matt, we just got so much good stuff coming. So look at these incredible donos that came in. And let's see who's here today. Kimmy's getting some donos. Look at this one from Zach Nichols. Okay, so Zach Nichols sent this one in. Says, let's go, baby. And this is from the Spotlight team, watching the Watchers, shining that big, beautiful spotlight. Zach Nichols made a nice dono to Eric's House. Thank you, Zach, for doing that. And that's what we're trying to do, baby. We're trying to lift that spotlight up. And there's Zach. I love it. All right, thank you for that one. All right, shout out. Eric, $50 going over to Eric's House. Hey, Kathy made a dono. Kathy made a dono. Kathy Trout made a dono. Thank you for that, Kathy Trout, and thank you for that, Zach Nichols in the house. We've got, oh, I'm not even logged in yet. Okay. And this one came in from Jigam Gigam. Okay, so Jigam is our meme smith extraordinaire. She says, I hear that Mama Govea, my mama, makes a real good spaghetti dinner, the best. I will forever be grateful for the gifted Watching the Watcher membership you gave me all during the tough COVID times. Thank you, Marianne. Oh, man. That's such a nice comment, Jigam. Thank you for saying that. And this is my beautiful mama, and she is the meatball master. And so you can see Jigam created this AI, maybe not AI at all, maybe just Jigam. Incredible. You know, we think that, but people are still artists out there. This is amazing. So awesome, Jigam. I absolutely love it. My mama loves it, by the way. She posted it on her Facebook account. And so you can certainly be friends with my mama on Facebook, Marianne Govea, if you'd like to. But love it. Thank you, Jigam. I absolutely love it. I saved it. That's going to be around our family, I think, for a while. So thanks for doing it. We had another one, Jigam. That was a very nice dono. Thanks for that. And this one came in from Bonnie. Bonnie's over on Locals too. And Bonnie says, your son and his community has been the best support during my trying times with my own daughter in August. You raised him right. Oh, Bonnie. Thanks, Bonnie. Yeah, we're praying for the Bonnie family, and many people sent some incredible flowers over to the Bonnie family when Bonnie and family were going through something. We're praying for Bonnie and her family there as well. And so, Bonnie, thanks for sending some love back to Eric's House. Incredible for you to do that, and thanks for the love. This one came in from Jason on Blast. What's up, Jason on Blast? Coming in here, and let me see if I can log in real fast, just so I can make sure these likes are saving. We'll do that later. All right. I'll come back and do that later. Amazing. So Jason on Blast. Thank you, Jason. Another $50 going to Eric's House, all being used, 501c3 nonprofit to help people who've lost loved ones. John McGarvey says, I don't know if it's nature or nurture, but one thing is clear. You did an excellent job with that young man. Hooray for Mama G. Oh, man. So you're obviously talking about my brother, Joey. Joey's a very good son. Very good son. My mom did a great job with him. Me, we could take it or leave it. But hooray for Mama G nonetheless. And my mom is incredible, right? She started this whole organization and has just built it from the ground up. And she's just doing a great job. A lot of healing happening. Tracy got a dono from John and Becky. Shout out to John and Becky. Kimmy got a dono. Jill made a dono. Shout out to Jill. I think I know who Jill is, making a nice dono to Mama. Shout out to Julie LaBenz. Ophira Jacob. Hey, GDL sent a dono into our page. Says, great work out there from GDL. Thank you, GDL, for that. Another one, Anonymous, made a dono to our page. Thank you very much to Anonymous. Thank you very much to GDL. $100 from GDL going out to Eric's house. And we've got Anonymous making a dono to Eric's house. Another one is an Anonymous, says, keep spreading love with that big, beautiful spotlight. And this one came in from the good doctor, NY Renal MD. Man, very generous dono. Thank you, doctor. Says, back in 2018, I took on a role in addiction medicine I thought I would never take. Currently, I'm in the medical director of 3 methadone clinics in SoCal. So I'm very much aware of the problem that individuals and families face with addiction to drugs. Thanks for your work, Robert. Many people will be helped by you and your family's advocacy for those plagued with the disease of addiction. Man, it's so true. And the good doctor's a good doctor, and he's over, on the front lines, helping a lot with this type of work. And unfortunately, it is just continuing, right? There is a suicide and drug overdose epidemic in our country. And so a lot of people need this help. Kelly Selnow, man, another extremely generous dono. You guys are just the best. Kelly Selnow says, thank you for doing the good work. Kelly, we couldn't do it without you. So thank you very much for sending that one in. Kathy McDuffie sending in another one over to our page. Thank you very much, Kathy. No message on that one, but very much appreciating your love and support. Christopher Anderson, aka Spuds, is here. Says, can we get your mom's spaghetti and meatball recipe? That way everyone can be a part of Eric's memory and others who have unfortunately gone before us under such circumstances. What a nice comment. I'm sure she would be happy to share it with you. I'm sure she would be happy to share it with you. My mom is always asking, what can she give back to the community? She's always asking. And she asked me specifically, she's like, do they want recipes or something? And I said, actually, they do. Because I look at my analytics and I can see what else people watch, like what other topics they're interested in. Recipes, 30-minute recipes. Many of you are interested in 30-minute recipes, which so am I. It's quick and easy and delicious. So it's a good idea, Spuds. This one from Tanya K. Thank you, Tanya. Says, blessings and prayers to all in need of this. And there unfortunately are many, as you know. Tanya K. in the house, always supporting our work here. Thank you, Tanya. Jesser Bob's here, says, a quote from Anonymous says, death can take away the person, but never the love. They live on in the legacy of our hearts. What a beautiful quote. I've not heard that before. Jesser Bob. It's true. The love continues on. It exists and it will never disappear. Thank you for that. This one from Matt's mom in honor of Chris Davis. Bought a ticket. And you can also buy tickets to this, right? So you don't have to just make a donation. All of this stuff is going to be donated and there'll be tickets for it. And I think the Rubo's Salt Shop is going to be on here at some point when they get it on the list. But it's going to be there. We're going to be giving those away. They are very generous. We appreciate the Rubo Salt Shop crew. Maddie got a dono from April. Shout out to April and the dono. Sue got a dono from Daniel Moore and his mom. Kimmy got a dono. Look who's here from Susie. You never quit missing the ones you love. For this man. We miss you, sir. Rest in peace. On behalf of Susie. Incredible Susie. Thank you for that. Jenna and Kyle say thank you and everyone at Eric's house for your patience and all the love that's been shown. Ryan Elensky made a dono on our page. Thank you, Ryan, for sending the dono in over here. Judy purchased one. We're just highlighting the ones on our page because we're like that here. But Robert also got a dono from Rosie Posey. What's up, Rosie? Says, very happy to donate to a very important program in honored memory of Eric Govea and the family. May God heal all the broken hearts and cover all his everlasting peace. And cover all his everlasting peace. From Rosie Posey. Thank you so much for that, Rosie. And John and Beverly. Thank you, John and Beverly. Another $50 dono coming into Eric's house. Say thank you for your work you do and Robert for promoting it. Thank you, guys. Very awesome. John and Beverly, thank you for sending that one in. Carrie B says, Rob, you not only shine that big, beautiful spotlight, you and your whole family are beautiful lights for so many in this dark world we are in, and thank you. Well, Carrie B, thank you. Honestly, our family went through a tragedy and it was a horrific thing and we're just trying to pay it forward, but we couldn't do it without you, without your support. And you know, we couldn't have even survived through it without other people ahead of us, right? So I talk about it a lot as being in the middle position. It's like it's always good to have a mentor and somebody that you're mentoring, right? A sponsor and a sponsee. So you're in the middle position. And we try to do that here. And we had a lot of amazing people who helped us through our loss. And so we're just trying to pay it forward in a small way that we can. Bob and Ashley purchased a ticket. They say your work is meaningful and beautiful. And a watcher made a dono. Says, man, lost my spouse in 2020. I'm so sorry. Pancreatic sepsis and my mom COPD last month. Ugh. Both deaths were brutal. I know it's hard for people. It's brutal. You're right about that, a watcher. We're praying for you, a watcher. I'm sorry that you've lost two very important people very close to you very soon. I hope you're doing okay. And I hope you're staying connected, you know, trying to heal a bit. I know you are. Thank you for supporting us. And of course, reach out if you need anything. That was from a watcher. Stookie May. Wow, Stookie, look at this dono. Oh my goodness. Says my quarterly safety bonus arrived this week. Woohoo! I was able to add a little extra. You're telling me, Stookie. Thanks for serving those in need. Very nice dono. $239. Thank you for that, Stookie. All going over to Eric's house. And Eric's house, they do set like actual therapy sessions. They sit down with people. They've got group things. All sorts of activities, healing this and hope that. It's a lot of good stuff. So Stookie, it's going to go a long way. Extremely generous of you. I know times are tough right now. I know, inflation's up and all this stuff. So it really means a lot. And Eric's house puts it to good use. As you can see, look at these numbers. Eric's house to date has provided 1,569 one-on-one grief support sessions. They've held 52 peer-led groups with a total of 3,000 sessions. Okay, so they do like a 9-week thing, right? So 52 peer-led groups, 3,000 people, or 3,000 sessions filled with people. And then taken together, we've resulted in almost 5,000 client sessions since June 2019. So just think about that, okay? That's the people who've lost somebody. So those are the people that we're missing. And Eric's house is helping them get all of their lives back in order or back on track, right? Because it's a mess. Like when you lose somebody, it's like a bomb goes off. And so that's what Eric's house is doing. That's my bro right there. That's Eric. So Anonymous purchased a ticket in honor of Dylan Purdy. We remember Dylan Purdy. And giving honor in honor of Brady Solis. We also remember Brady Solis here. Kelly Salnow says, thanks for doing the good work, Kelly. Is that another one, Kelly? Is that two from you? Thank you so much for that, Kelly. And Kathy McDuffie also sent one in. Man, Kathy, thank you so much for sending that one in. No comment, but Kathy McDuffie sending some love in. Spuds brought up the meatball comment. And Tanya K's here. And so, man, some great comments, my friends. And we're just extremely grateful for those. Susie Orris also made one. Says, grateful for the healing and the hope that Eric's house provides incredible grief companions and life coaches in loving memory of Daniel Moore from Mom and Cassidy. So we pray for Daniel Moore, and we pray for Mom, and we pray for Cassidy. Man, it just makes me emotional even to think about it. So, all right, my friends, now we're going to be doing this tomorrow, all day tomorrow. Oh my goodness! Look at this one from Kathy Ann Human, $500 dono coming in. It says, I'm grateful for your continued work. You have the biggest heart, and it's a blessing. Mama Govea too. Man, Kathy Ann, thank you so much. So that's all going to go to Eric's house. And we are up to 26 supporters right now. And I couldn't be more grateful. My heart is very full. Thank you for that. All right. Now I'm going to be matching this. We're going to see what the total numbers look like tomorrow. And, and I'm going to be matching it. I'm going to be putting my skin in the game too, because this is where I try to put all my extra love into Eric's house, because I know the work that they're doing is incredible. And I know that people need it. So thank you everybody for making those donos. Now, tomorrow, we're going to be covering this live for 4 hours, not here on Eric's House's YouTube channel. So if you want to come and join us over there, search the Eric's House YouTube channel or go to watchersupport.com to make a dono. And we're on our way to our $50,000 goal, which is what Eric's House is going to be shooting for on Saturday. So, guys, thank you so much for this. Really, it really means the world. And it's going to be going to help incredible people. So, that is it. Wait, we got some more donos that came in. We got some more donos. Bonnie joined us. What's up, Bonnie? Says, just got here. You know, concerning Gaza, 40% of the population is under the age of 14 per the last census. Pray the innocents get to safer territory. But moving south isn't that far. Gaza is pretty small. Yeah, I mean, I'm hopeful that they do. I'm hopeful that they heed the warnings. Okay, I've also seen that Hamas is counter-programming a lot of this. That they're saying that it's a fake warning. In other words, don't leave, right? Don't abandon your territory. And I don't know what that is going to mean in terms of casualty and loss of life, which we want as minimal amount of as possible. Hey, this one came in. These came in over on YouTube. I'd rather be skiing. Sent in this one, 1776. Says, blessed is the nation whose God is the Lord. Psalm 33:12. Trump 2024 or bust. From I'd rather be skiing. Thanks for the nice dono. Blessed is the nation whose God is the Lord. Rather than maybe what? Communism? Trust in God rather than communism? Yeah, that's a good concept. Thank you. I'd rather be skiing. And that's a good place to be. And for being a member too. B-Man says they are trying to Poland or Gerald Ford Trump. That's not a good concept. Gerald Ford, like, resign? Interesting, B-Man. Thank you for that. And lastly, coming in on locals from 51K says, oh, I had a dream last night that we went shoe shopping and we were in the mall when you got mobbed like Justin Bieber. I woke up thinking it was a good thing you could run fast in your new shoes. That's pretty funny, 51K. So, I can run, I'm not that fast, actually. I'm not that fast. Let's be real. But it's good because I would never be mobbed like Justin Bieber. People just walk by and they go, who's this person? Get out of my way, dude. Get out of my way. I'm trying to get somewhere. But thank you, 51K. That's pretty funny. It's maybe if I got new shoes, maybe I would be faster. You never know. Maybe that's why we went there, is to shop for new shoes so I could be faster. I do wear shoes when we do the show. Somebody asked that, and I do wear shoes. And the reason why is that when the feds come crashing through the windows, I have to be ready to act. I got to be ready to go. So I should probably work on my agility. You're right about that, 51K. I might need new shoes. You're right. Oh man, I've got a funny story about being too slow. I was like a second string running back in high school football my freshman year, and I was too slow, man. All of the first string running backs were much faster than me, and they always told me that I was too slow because I was white. They told me that all the time. I was like, man, how are you guys so fast? Because they always started before me. There was like the QB, the fullback, the tailback were really these three guys. And they were, they always started. They'd score like 35 points in the first quarter, and then they'd put me in. And I'm like, how are you guys so fast? And they're like, well, you're white, man. You're white. You're too slow. Sorry. I said, that's true. I know. It's true. It was funny. That was high school. I don't think you can talk like that these days to each other. Anyways, it was a lot of fun back then. And they were right. They were much faster than me because I was too slow. So anyways, it was funny and it was a lot of fun, man. I miss those days. Simpler times, when you could actually have friendships without everybody calling each other racist, whatever. Anyways, we're going over for our members only after party, watchingthewatchers.locals.com. Come and join us over there. YouTube friends, don't forget to join us on the Telegram group. Grab the community-only Telegram link in the community tab on YouTube, and we'll see you there in the after party. We've also got our website, and we're going to be posting the PDFs now pretty soon. I just updated this, and they're probably not going to start showing up until tomorrow. Yeah, they'll probably be there tomorrow on the stories posted tomorrow. Let's see if we get some updates. I just articulated the whole plan for the team, sent out the instructions last night, and so we're going to try to be incorporating the PDFs onto robertgovea.com. If you want to sign up for our daily newsletter so you get everything delivered to your inbox, you can do that right here. You can also get access to the mind map as well. So if you want to navigate the mind map, you certainly can do that. And here's a bunch of reasons why you might want to do that. But that is robertgovea.com. We're going over to watchingthewatchers.locals.com, and we hope to see you there. We'll be here tomorrow at Eric's House's YouTube as well. And so check us out for 4 hours over there. Today, I want to thank the mods and the meme smiths who mod down the fort for us and keep things nice and orderly all across the fruited plain of the show. Our friends Vienticus Prime, our friend K Bean, Just Cause, we got Playing Hooky, Ronnie Cole, Zulu, Beyond Geo, we have Zach Nichols, John Allen, Janek, Dog Digger, Donut Mind Me, and John McGarvey modding down the fort for us, along with our meme smith extraordinaire, Geegum Geegum, our friend Nathan N810, and Sleepy Dog Lee, memeing the fort down for us. But that, my friends, is it for us on the day. We are wrapping it up, going over to watchingthewatchers.locals.com and our private Telegram group for our members-only after party. We also will be posting some updates later today. I've got a fun event that I'm going to go down to. We've got Eric's House tomorrow. I've got another event on Sunday, so it's going to be busy. And we'll keep posting updates. And so we hope that you join us definitely tomorrow for Eric's House. But if not, my friends, if you're unplugging for the rest of the weekend and recovering, I encourage you to do that. It's been a busy week, a very emotional week. And so it's always important that we disconnect a little bit and focus on recovery, focus on our restoration, focus on the things that keep us healthy and well so that our brains can reset, we can calm back down the emotional temperature and restore ourselves, because we've got a long road ahead. We're not done yet, and we've got to make sure that we pace ourselves on this marathon of life as we continue to fight for freedom and justice all across America. And so we're going to hope that you join us back here on Monday so that together we can do this, because we need your help and need it right back here. So that together with your help, we can shine that big, beautiful spotlight of accountability and transparency down upon our system with the hope of finding justice. Make it a beautiful night, my friends, and an amazing weekend. We'll see you right back here on Monday. Bye-bye.